Welcome back, everybody. It's Monday, March the 16th, Monday morning briefing, episode 25, I believe. Real quick, as you can see, we're shooting this in our new little workshop area out here in the warehouse. And if you're following on our Instagram stories, we did a bunch of stuff this weekend, building some new benches and stuff for around the clicker, some outfeed tables on each side of it, and a big new sorting table, which will become a cut table. I think what we're gonna do is end up doing all of our fabrication, basically all of our cutting of parts back here, and just to keep the clutter down inside the workshop area. We'll show you that in a minute, but it's really opened up a bunch over there, moving all of that into this area and having this extra bench. We'll kind of go through that. Some quick updates right quick though. I want to thank everybody that took advantage of the Blemish material packs for the belt kits that we did. Those went really good. The problem was, as we're cutting belts, I'm cutting tons of belts. And so as I'm cutting those, if I notice any with like a scratch or a scar, an old scar in there, maybe some blemishes, some bot marks or something like that, I kick those out to the side. We don't use those. I'll use them in the shop because I can pick them based on the size of the belt that I'm using or I'm gonna make and stuff like that. That was my intention. The problem was they started piling up. And so last week we ended up I had 50 of them, 50 complete kit, like liner and bodies. That's what I had extra. And I thought, if this keeps going, which it is, I've got more leather coming, I'm going to end up with way more than I can consume, way more than I can use. And so I thought, why not just offer them, since we've been out of the premium packs, which are the clean, blemish free belt strips. Those are the ones that we've been selling. I thought, let's throw those on there. Claudia thought it was a good idea, so we threw 50 of them on the website, and they all sold. They are at a reduced rate, so those, instead of being $45 for the pack, it's $25. So just right around half, a little over half. But I thought that's a good savings for guys that, you know, especially if you're tooling them. If you're, like we've talked about before, if you're floral tooling those belts, there's no reason why any of those blemishes should bother you at all. The thing that would try to keep out of there is any big butcher cuts on the backside, hollow spots in the strip or something like that. That's gonna show up in the finished belt as far as its gauge or its thickness. But as far as blemishes, I usually don't really worry about those too much, especially if you're tooling them basket stamp or floral, you're gonna cover those up. So I thought we'll offer them. It says on there, they do have blemishes, so when you get them, I'm sorry, but there's blemishes on there, but you can work around them. But everybody seemed to really like those, had multiple people buy 4 or 5 packs of those, so they went really quick. So we're out of stock on those as well. It's great. I'm really thankful for that. We've got more leather that is supposed to ship tomorrow, the 17th, I think is what they told me. It'll ship on the 17th. Hopefully everything will run smoothly and we'll have it by Friday, and I can cut this weekend and get more of those belt packs on the website for you guys, and we'll let you know whenever that happens. Another update as far as the woolskin packs, we've got a bunch more scrap woolskin here that we're gonna cut up today, so we'll be getting more of that on the website as well. Those seem to be doing really good, and so it seems like y'all really have a need for those, so we'll continue to cut those as we can get scrap, sheepskin. Again, it seems like when they're on there for a little bit, and then they leave. We'll hopefully get to where we have those in stock all the time. I don't see the run on those being the same as the belt material kits long term. I think at some point we'll get caught up and we'll end up having an inventory of those woolskin packs for you guys in some form of fashion, so that you have those. But yeah, as far as like I said, as far as the leather shipment, should be here at the end of the week, I'm hoping. That's the plan. A couple little quick things before we get into what we kind of built out here in the warehouse. I wanted to show you a couple leathers. I had talked to Aaron. I'm hunting some, so for our bifold material pack, I'm looking for a really, really quality interior material for that. I've made some, prototyping it up. I've made some with just Herman Oak veg, just normal skirting leather that I thinned down on our splitter and get it down to about 2 ounce, which is about where I want to be, 2 to 2.5 ounce, somewhere in there. Because there's so many little pieces in my billfold pattern, that if you use 3 to 4 ounce, it really makes it too thick. And so I don't want to send you something that's gonna make a wallet that's just hard to function because it's so thick. So I'm looking for a really quality material to use for those interiors. And so I was talking to Aaron, and he said, I'm gonna send you some stuff. He said, this is English Bridle that he has split down at Wicket and Craig. I apologize for the noise, but out here we get a little bit more road noise from the alley. And I've also got a murder of crows, I think, up there that are running around on top of the building. So we'll try to keep this short and get in the other part of the shop. But anyway, Aaron had sent me some of this as a sample. I told him to send me a couple swatches. He sends me big chunks. So I'm actually able to make some stuff with this and play with it. Really, really good stuff. He orders this from Wicket and Craig. It's English bridle tan. And I'm assuming it's just a veg tan leather, but they split it down and then he has them wax the back so it's very, very smooth. It's very nice. It doesn't have a machined look about it. And very, very good stuff. This stuff is really nice. And from what he says, you can tool it. I haven't tried to tool any English bridle, but apparently you can tool it. But this stuff is really nice. This is about a 4 ounce probably, right around there. And then he has this, which is more of a 2.5, and this is what he uses for all of his wallet packs and wallet, I guess, mystery boxes and things that he does. This is what he sends for the interiors. I made a bifold with it, really nice. I don't know where it is, or I'd show you. I've misplaced it. I'm assuming one of my kids stole it. I'm not sure. They tend to steal things when I'm prototyping. They think I'm making it for them. But anyway, I did make it with this. So if you need some good material for interiors, this would make awesome. This is the 2 to 3 ounce, and you can see how, you know, it's got some firmness to it, so it's not floppy, but it is just really, really nice. And I think he carries this all the time. Call him, call Doc, call Makers Leather Supply, talk to Doc, talk to Aaron, and see what they got. And I'm sure they carry this all the time. But this would be a great interior for portfolios or anything. I think it'd be nice as a belt liner. I don't know how well it glue. I would assume it would glue fine, but that's an option that we're looking at as well. So do that. I'm also on the hunt for some kangaroo. I have found some kangaroo, but right now at the moment, since I have trouble getting kangaroo a lot of times, let's just say I've got a certain amount and I've got it stored back in my private collection because I'm just scared to use it all up. At this moment, I don't have kangaroo for sale, but if I can find a good source for it, we may start offering that for the bifold wallet. As far as the money clip wallet, y'all saw that on the website. We put that up there. We have a single pack and then a 3-pack. The 3-pack obviously is the better buy. That's just to kind of keep our shipping production down as much as possible. We'd rather ship 3 of those to you than 1. So buying them 3 at a time is obviously a lot cheaper. Leaves you a lot of room there where you can tool it and sell those and make some money. But the money clip wallet, now on the money clip wallet, I did not put the marks for where the bar clip goes for the money clip. That's left up to you. We have a pattern pack for that, for putting that wallet together, and you can also watch the video for free that's on YouTube that shows you how to build that wallet. It's real simple. You just need to find the center of your liner and put either 1 for the wire clip. If you're going to use that, use a number 1 or a single hole in a number 2, or if you're going to use the spring bar clip, you're going to use 2 number 5 holes, 1 on each side for that to slide in. You'll see that in the video. But I didn't mark that. The die doesn't already make the holes or anything like that because I have made those where customers request no clip at all. They just want the fold over wallet. That's all they want. They don't want that little bar clip in there or the wire. And so that way you have that option. You kind of do it however you want. And then Claudia got some idea of making a tote bag. She wants to make a tote, and it'll be, Aaron's got a pattern for a tote bag, and that's the pattern that she's gonna use for making her tote. And she found this. We were at Larry Lewis's, at Lewis Leather Sales there in Bryan last year, and she had seen this, and it is just a veg tan calf or cow leather. It's just regular leather, and then they emboss it to make it look like elephant. And so it's a very inexpensive way to give it an elephant feel or an elephant look, but it's not elephant. Elephant's very pricey. And so I was really surprised. We got this in. She said she wanted it mainly because of the color, because she loves turquoise. So she wanted to go ahead and get a side of that. And I was ordering other stuff from him, so we went ahead and got that. And I was really surprised at how much it does feel like elephant. I mean, it's really hard like elephant is. I think it'll scratch a little easier, but I mean, it really feels pretty elephant-like. And so I was really surprised about it. But that's gonna be pretty fun. We may offer some wristlet purse material packs or something with some of this, because this is an entire side. So usually elephant, you buy it by the foot and you just buy a big chunk. And you usually only buy like a chunk that you need, the minimum amount you need for a project. So you don't usually, or I don't usually have a lot of scrap elephant, but this is 24 square feet of embossed elephant leather. So we're gonna have quite a bit of scrap. So I'll probably do some wristlet purses out of that. Just an economical way to offer something that's a little flashy and a little bit different without having to ask, you know, $800 for a wristlet purse because you used real elephant. But if they want real elephant, buy real elephant, because it's a good deal. You can make some more money. You can mark it up whenever you're selling exotics. Also got the black leather for the gussets and everything in the rope bag, and so we'll show you kind of the progress we made on that. We're about to start assembly on that today. And so I've got all the hangers ready to go. The pocket pieces are ready to go. So we're gonna start putting that bag together, and we are shooting a video for that. So that'll be here pretty quick. But this black chap leather will make very, very nice gussets to go with the black background that we did on that. That's enough updates on where we are with leather and stuff. Let me show you what we built this weekend. So basically what we needed in here, Saturday, I've had it on my mind that we needed another 4x8 bench to sort leather, cut leather, especially with cutting all the belt material packs and stuff. I just don't have enough places to go with our leather storage and for just workshop space for cutting stuff. So went ahead and built another 4x8 bench. This bench is 4 foot by 8 foot by 39.5 inches tall. I've got a shelf here in the middle that is 18 inches from the underside of this, and it's all out of 2x4s. I didn't use any heavy 4x4 post or anything like that. This isn't necessarily going to be a real heavy working bench like my big long bench that's in the workshop. That one is more for, you know, actual a lot of working on that bench and stuff like that. So it needed to be a little bit more stable. But back here, basically what we're going to do is just cut and sort and do that kind of thing with leather, and so we'll see how this works out. I wanted to build something a little bit lighter that I could move out of the way if I need to. I'm going to get some casters and put this on some casters, and that way if we want to pull something in here, we're working on a machine or doing something back here in the warehouse, I can push this all the way up against the clicker outfeed tables, and then it's out of the way and I've got a bigger opening in the shop. So that's kind of the idea with that. I'll probably get a piece of that plastic cutting board material for the top of this bench. There's a buddy of mine that was in here last week or the week before and gave me a number for a place there in Shiner, Texas that actually sells that too. But I know there's a plastics company in Dallas and one in San Antonio that will sell that cutting board material as well. So if you guys are looking for that, I don't have contact information for those, but I'm sure if you search it on Google, you'll find somebody that'll sell you 4x8, 4x4, 2x4, whatever you need. They'll probably pre-cut it, and then you can put that on your bench. But that's what's on my other bench. And then for the clicker, the bed of this clicker, this is a 10-ton clicker from Leather Machine Co. So this is probably the smallest clicker you can get as far as for a hydraulic clicker. It's super heavy. It's not super big. The pallet that it's screwed to, we just left it on the pallet because I need to move this thing. It's got little wheels on it, but honestly, I mean, they're just little bitty tiny wheels. You're not gonna roll this thing around the shop. So I just left it on the pallet. If I need to move it, I can get a pallet jack, move it around, forklift or whatever. It just stays bolted to that. But the bed on this thing is not very big, so when you've got a big chunk of leather, I try to block in my pieces of leather that we're gonna be cutting things out of. I'll try to block it into either a belly or a butt or something like that to where there are smaller chunks to deal with. But if you've got a big old piece of leather, this bed's not very big to support all the leather on there, and it's kind of a cumbersome. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to build some benches that kind of just framed out around the actual bed of the clicker. So these are built the exact same height as our actual clicker bed. And that way, if you've got a big side of leather, you can have one end over there or one end over here, and it'll support the material as you're going through and working through it. This front piece, I ended up, when we went to McCoy's, I just kind of spur of the moment, I was like, while I'm here, I'm gonna get everything to build those benches. I didn't do any pre-drawings, I didn't have any plans, and I just told the little gal there, I said, give me 3 sheets of plywood and 22x4s, hopefully that's enough. I just kind of guessed. And I was able to build both the cut table and both of these benches, everything minus this one piece of 2x4 right here. I had just a little pile of scraps when I was done, and I'm short one little 2x4. Now I've got a big old stack of 2x4s at the house. I just keep forgetting to bring one up here. But I've just got, so I put this on here for just temporary, but I'll have one more 2x4 that'll connect these two benches together across the front of the clicker. and then I will cut another piece of 3/4 inch plywood that'll actually come all the way here, so this will be nice and framed out. But for now, that's gonna work just to get us through until my time to work on carpentry type stuff or things that I need for the shop, benches and whatnot, is very limited. So I don't feel justified doing that during the week. So I had Sunday basically to do it, and so we'll catch it next weekend and we'll wrap this up. But for now, they're functional, they're good, they're ready to go. I've got a little shelf underneath here. These are about, I think it's 12 inches down from the underside of here. So I've got an opening there to store my dies or whatever. I might end up even getting some bins for like little scrap pieces, or if we're clicking out parts for wallets or whatever, you can kind of pitch them in there and go from there. And then I've got big boxes underneath just for scrap cuts, scrap pieces, that if I need to cut something out right quick, then I can kind of reach down there. I've got them kind of sorted, heavy and then the lighter stuff. But those are going to work really good. I think each one of these is 4 foot long, and the height of them is, I can't remember because I did it basically the height of the clicker. And so its height is just about 41 inches. So if you have a clicker and you're going to build some of these, the height of mine doesn't matter. If mine's sitting on a pallet, yours may be on a different kind of pallet, yours might be sitting on the floor. I just measured up to the top of my bed basically, and that's how tall I made the benches, and that way they're the same height. But if you account for a little over 2 foot wide here, I think it's 30 inches wide on the clicker bed, and then 2 4-foot tables. So we're probably right at 10 foot or better here maybe. That's plenty of room to be able to put a lot of material up here on top of the clicker and be able to click out whatever we need or whatnot. And so it's a good little work surface. And I don't know if this will stay here, but I also figured since we're cutting, we're sorting leather, we're fabricating kind of back here and doing that, it made more sense for the splitter to be back here in the warehouse. I don't know if I'm gonna like that. We'll see how the humidity in this building works as we get into spring and summer, but I don't want my blade getting rusted obviously. So we'll just kind of have to see how it does out here. I like having it in there because I tend to use this machine every day, just kind of ad hoc as I need it. Just every so often I need to thin something down, I'll come walk over to it. And so that's quite a bit of a journey to walk back here to use it, but we'll just kind of see how it works. I just think it makes more sense if I'm sorting leather. I can thin down a bunch of big chunks, set them here, click them out, they go back out towards the workhouse or the work area. And so that's why it's back here. I've got to run some wiring or something to get this thing. It doesn't quite reach that plug, but we're going to try that out here and see how it works. But all in all, it's going to work out pretty good. So in my shop, I like to kind of keep everything kind of organized to where you have one area for this, one area for that. We've talked about that before. This is now an area where we can come in here. All of our leather that we have storage wise is going to be in here. We can pick from chap leather. We've got those racks behind us here that have all of our scrap, necks and bellies from 3/4, 9/10, skirting leather, our partial sides, full sides, latigo, harness, chap leather, everything is back here. So if I need to cut out a bunch of pieces for any job of cutting saddles or anything like that, I can do all of that back here. I'm not tying up my workbench in there. If I've got stuff laid out to dry or something going on in there, Claudia's working on something, I'm not having to tie up the big bench in there. So if you have the room, it's nice. I haven't always had the room. In fact, my last shop, I did not. I was in 1,000 square feet, did not have the room. Really enjoyed that space because it made me be a little bit more organized and a little bit more logistical in the way that I thought about how I was gonna work through my workflow. And so it worked out a lot better, or it worked out well. I'm not gonna say it worked out better, but it worked out well for me to kind of get me more organized. Now that we have a bigger spot, bigger space, I think it's nice because now I have the ability and kind of the experience to where I can set up this area for this area for that area for painting, that area for oiling. And if you have that ability to do that, even if you're in a small space, try to keep your areas where you have the bench for this, even if it's like, this is the bench that I do these 3 things on, and when I paint, I pull out this piece of plywood and put it on top of the bench, and that's what I paint on so I don't ruin my bench. Whatever you've got to do to keep everything kind of differentiated to where you have an area to work on whatever you're working on, and you're not just working on wherever you happen to be sitting at that moment. It'll just make your work a little bit easier to deal with and a little cleaner. So, but let's go in there. We're going to look at some of the stuff that we've been working on this week. All right, as far as saddles, the ranch saddle is has got a binder on it. I went ahead at the last minute, I decided to do a Latigo binder on here just to kind of accent our dark trim on the horn. It's not Latigo trim, it's just dyed, but figured that, and I'm gonna have Latigo strings on there, obviously, and I've got some braiding here, as all my saddles do, but I thought on this one right here, since it was a straight up candle, I thought that would look really neat to have some Latigo there, and so we just went ahead and accented that, and we're gonna give it a whirl. But we've done just the finger carving or decorative cut work, decorative knife work, what some people call it, in the rough out. A lot of people have asked me, is that rough out, how hard is that to do? It's very hard on your knife. So if you're doing decorative work like this, on rough out leather, it is hard on your blade, so be sure you're stropping your blade a lot and be sure your blade is sharp. It can kind of, you'll have to sharpen your blade again once you get it done, and go back to carving grain side or regular leather. You're gonna need to probably go to the stone and sharpen that thing up, but it does a nice job. It works really well. We do not tool this, and I do carve this differently than I would carving for an actual floral pattern that I'm going to tool. I am going to do a video, just a quick tip video on how to do some of this decorative work, because carving it and drawing it is just a little bit different. It's not all that different, but there's some subtle differences in it and the way that I draw it, just if I'm going to just leave it like that and not tool it. Now, as far as the roping saddle, this roping saddle is about to get a seat in today. And so we've got the housings tooled, dyed, antiqued, braided, put on. They're where they're gonna live, basically. We may have done that last week. But the main reason we haven't gotten a seat yet in there is because of the height of the cantle, and that we were getting a cantle plate that came in from Scott Summerlot. He did the silver work for this saddle. And so we did a cantle plate on the back here. And I wanted to get that mounted before I put my plugs in for my roll. It's just a lot easier to do before that Cheyenne roll is on there. Be a little bit harder to get a hold, get down in there and get that thing nailed in. So we wanted to go ahead and get that nailed on before I put my plugs in. So that's one thing we're gonna do this morning, is get our plugs in for our Cheyenne roll and get a seat fit on this saddle, and it'll get caught up to this one here in a few days. And so that's going to work out really well. We'll be putting fenders and stirrup leathers together for both of these saddles as well. They're both tooled. This one has his brand in the center of the fender. This one here just has the decorative cut work on there. And yeah, these two are going pretty quick. So my workbench is a bit of a mess, because I've just got, here's those fenders for the roper. We just did his brand there in the center, dyed them brown. That's going to look pretty neat. Workbench is a mess. We've got a lot of projects going on. It's been really crazy busy here, and so I've just got stuff kind of slung out. One reason why I had to kind of take Sunday and build those benches in there, because I need more room in here to get projects where I got room to lay stuff out. Because every time I lay stuff out on the big cut table, I'm having to pick it up to cut leather, cut belt blanks, or do whatever I've got to do. And so now this way I can do all that back there. So, but as you can see, my bench is an entire wreck. So, but rope bag hasn't changed a lot, it doesn't seem, but we've gotten all the little hangers ready to go, and so these will go and get sewn on the face of the rope bag, and they'll support a 1-inch D, and that's what'll go on, one on each side right here, and that's what the strap will mount to. And then this is our pocket flat, and so it's got the man's brand on there. We'll sew that on. You'll see in the video when we put that out, but you'll sew it on like that, and then it'll fold over there. And this is just the basket stamp face there, and we'll get a little gusset on that, and so it'll sit on there like so. But so I went ahead and sewed in this strap, and it kind of, as it comes on here, it widens out, so it's about that wide. So as you stitch, you're stitching all that leather down. So if you just did a little 5/8 strap and stuck it up in there, you're only going to catch about 3 or 4 stitches in there. So I do like a little bell shape, and then we tuck that in there between the liner and the body. And then when we sew the border, it sews that in, and it's got lots of meat that those stitches are in, and then just trim it. So we'll dot the edges on that. But that's what the pocket will look like. There'll be a little buckle that'll come around here, and we'll adjust that and lob off what we need off of here so that it looks like it fits correctly. But that's the rope bag, and that'll kind of start coming together. So the next video for the clean oil and polish of a saddle, that one will be out this week. We're about to put that saddle to wrap up, putting it together. We've pretty much put most of it together already, and we're shooting that. And so that video should be up by, let's give it till Friday. Hopefully by Friday it'll be out. And then, like I said, there's already set up a playlist on our YouTube channel. It says saddle cleaning process, I think, or something like that. You'll see it. And the first two videos are in there. Remember, the breakdown of a saddle is a different saddle than what we're washing and putting together in the next two videos. But the process is the same. You tear the saddle down, then you wash the saddle, let it dry, oil and condition the saddle, and then put it back together. And so that putting back together video should be out this week, so be on the lookout for that. Last week's Lost Trade episode was with Tanner Claridge, and with Claridge Leather out of Montana. That was a really interesting interview. If you haven't heard that one yet, go to Apple or Spotify or to our website and click Lost Trade, and you'll find that podcast and you can play that episode. It was really neat. I really enjoyed talking to Tanner. I found him on Instagram probably a couple of years ago. He does just really neat work. I actually found him because he popped up somehow, because he had done a video a couple of years ago on how to design a bag, a tote bag, like how to actually, depending on what size bag you want the finished bag to be, how to extrapolate that out and come up with a pattern for his style of bag. And I watched that video and I actually made one, and it was really neat the way he went about it, because I'm not a bag maker, so I learned a lot from him, and so I've been following him ever since then. And he's got a lot of good content, and only recently found out that he works with prosthetics, and so his actual day job is building prosthetics for people who have had amputations. He also does orthotics and a lot of other things. And it was really interesting to hear him in the podcast talk about the tie-ins and how him and I both, between saddle fitting and for what he's doing, and talking about pressure and fitting, and just the correlations were really interesting. And so it was a really fun interview. So if you haven't checked it out, check out Lost Trade Podcast on Apple or Spotify and listen to Tanner's episode. That was from last week. This week's episode is going to be really neat. I think you're going to enjoy who it is. And hearing them talk about their business. It's a couple folks that are going to be on there at one time, so this will be our first episode with 3 people on the episode, so that's pretty neat. But we had a lot of fun interviewing them. That's really all I got for you this week, guys. Thank y'all very much. If you haven't gotten a newsletter, it's because we haven't sent one. Again, we don't always send you one. I'm working on one now to hopefully get one out to you guys, just so y'all know, hey, if you're still on the list kind of thing, you're on the newsletter list. We've just been so busy with everything this year already, between the storm and all the stuff. It's just been nuts. So we haven't had one go out, but we will have one go out. If you haven't signed up for the Leathercraft newsletter, be sure to go to our website, or there's some forms on there. There's different ways you can sign up for it, but just be sure to sign up for the Leathercraft newsletter. You know, you'll be on the list, and anytime we send one out, you'll get that. But that's really all I got for you this week. I hope everybody has a fabulous week. Sorry this one's a little bit late, but it is what it is. We got it out anyway, just a day late. So I thank y'all very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next week in the Monday morning briefing.